Everyone is doing wonderful on this Wednesday evening. My name is FPL Nacho and welcome to the FPL Fan YouTube channel. I do apologise once again for being late to my own live stream. Anybody who's tuned into my previous live streams will know I am the latest man on the planet, but I have got things in place now, so we're ready to go with today's live stream. So just to give you a bit of an overarching feel of what this is all about, I can't do a video today, unfortunately, so I thought, what better place to come than do a live stream for you guys? And the whole basis of this is going to be answering any questions you have going into game week 4. Anything in particular on your mind, I'll try and cover in the hot topic section. But if you have any general questions specific to your own teams, anything like that, drop them in the chat and I'll be answering them throughout the entire stream. We're going to aim for about an hour stream here, so it'll be awesome to have you guys on board across the whole stream. And as always, if you can drop a like on the stream, it'd be massively appreciated. We always aim for 50 likes. You guys smashed that last time. Hopefully we can do the same today. Let's see who's in the chat. Mortal Technique, apologise. Always get that wrong. I hope you're doing well. Socknan, is it? Good evening to you, mate. Thoughts on James Ward-Prowse? We'll cover that in a minute because he is in a section that we're going to go over. Jack Topping, hope you're doing well, buddy. Animations, hope you're doing well. Even last, hope your day's been great. Hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Yes, of course. If you're not subscribed already, guys, make sure you do subscribe to the channel. I got a cough coming, so we're going to try and wrestle through this live stream with this cough. So let me know your day's been. Let me know any questions you have. I've got quite a few slides that we're going to cover off, which hopefully will give you a bit of an idea on what you want to do with your transfers. For a Salah owner as a 5th mid, he is fine. Yeah, Salah is a little bit dubious one right now. Hopefully we'll get into that in a second. And Hugo Krog saying, I'm thinking of Nana out for Sanchez. Is João Pedro out for Vissa? You think those are good moves? I hate doing goalkeeper transfers personally. Even though Man United have a tricky game, I can never justify going for something down that route. Especially someone like a Sanchez, who you might want triple Chelsea outfield players later down the line. Going for Sanchez blocks you from going for maybe a Nicholas Jackson, Sterling, Reece James or Chilwell combination. So I'm not really big on Sanchez right now. So I think the outfield players could definitely be an option for us. So blocking yourself with the goalkeeper doesn't really work for me. And 2 games in already played the wild card. Vicario, Fleck and Chilwell, Henry, Adogi, Cash, Trippier. I like Trippier long term. Saka, Fernandes, Sterling, Madison, and Buemo, Jackson, Haaland. Yeah, don't mind it at all. I think you probably got a bit too much invested in the goalkeeper department. I would go for one of those. Put a 4 million in like a Matt Turner and stick with it. Or West Ham's Areola. I think you have too much invested in there. Give yourself a little bit of cash in the bank to be flexible later down the line. I don't think you need that much cash in there. And Jack saying Foden or Buemo, realistically, it has to be Phil Foden. Playing in this Man City team, we're expecting him to get some decent game time over the next 5. That absolutely would be the man for me and my teams. And I'm going to drop a few polls in this chat as well, so make sure you do keep an eye on them. I want you guys to get engaged in this live stream and get a real idea on what direction you're going into this game week with. Now, I need a quick sip of this because my throat's all over the shop, and then we'll be back. Oh. Right, let's get into the first section, which is going to be who the bloody hell do we sell this game week? We have Madison, we have Foden, we have Sterling, with all these amazing options screaming their names to us to buy. But we need to sell someone first and foremost. So let's get into that right now. Once again, if you're not liking this stream, what is wrong with you? Come on now. Right, let's go into the first section. Now, this I actually do kind of like don't really want to admit. This is kind of why I was a little bit late to the stream, because I had to quickly mock this up. I was late back from work. I had to mock this bad boy up. Now, it ain't the best. You're going to see a lot better on other on other streams out there. I get it. But this hopefully will serve a purpose for you. And hopefully I've got the greater than signs the right way around. Otherwise, we're in serious trouble here. So what I've tried to do here is give a bit of an indication on who I prefer, who's my number 1 pick, who is my worst pick out of the bunch, and give you an idea in your head of, okay, I only own this guy, so I probably should sell the other. So this is how it's going to work. Realistically, I think everybody has Man United and Arsenal assets. We're looking to get a Madison, maybe a Foden, maybe a Sterling in our teams. And these are the guys we're probably going to need to sacrifice. So I've ordered them in preference. First up, Bukayo Saka. Out of all the picks you see on your screen, he is my number 1 pick and the player that I would be the least picking, the most reluctant to sell, going into game week 4. Now, the reason being for this, first and foremost, I think he's an unbelievable asset in general. He's the golden boy, Arsenal's main man, took the penalty in game week 3, so I think that probably does suggest that he's going to be the penalty taker, but I know we saw Odegaard take it in game week 2, but in that moment where they needed a goal scored, Saka stepped up and took it. So I think that's good vibes going forward in the coming game weeks. And realistically as well, Saka is just one of those assets that's going to get 90 minutes, decent underlying numbers, and any fixture is a good fixture for Arsenal in my eyes from an attacking perspective. He is the man to own in the Arsenal team. Now, next is Bruno Fernandes, my second choice here. I think Bruno Fernandes just goes ahead of Rashford for me. Now, again, Man United had a pressure penalty in game week 3. Who steps up? Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes steps up. So for me, that just absolutely locks in the fact that he is going to be the penalty taker for Man United. Done. Now, anyone that actually watched the game will know that he was unbelievable in that actual game. He was all over the place in a good way, trying to make things tick over for the team. And realistically, when we're looking at players, I don't want to be selling the player that's going to play 90 minutes on penalties at the heart of everything good. I said this in my previous stream. The injury to Mason Mount is great for Man United and Bruno Fernandes because they're going to have the stability of Eriksen and Casemiro, and they'll be able to let Bruno Fernandes do his thing. Now, he is the man for me in the Man United team. Sorry, I am struggling with a cough. Rashford, third. Again, 9 million. I like Rashford because he's the most expensive, which means you can come down to any option. So I understand the reason why you'll hold on to him. And I'm not saying at any point any of these are bad options, but Rashford is just a little bit behind Bruno for me. He hasn't looked as impressive in my eyes. Yes, he scored a penalty. Scored a goal in this season. But for me, I just don't think he's screaming major value, and I cannot sell you sort of attitude right now at 9 million. So Bruno just ahead of Rashford. Martinelli behind Rashford in terms of the pecking order right now. Let me know in the comments if this makes any sense. Hopefully it does. Hopefully it makes sense to you guys. Anyway, what I'm saying is this. Martinelli behind Rashford in terms of the pecking order. So Saka, Fernandes, Rashford, now to Martinelli. 8 million. I think he's a great option, but his underlying numbers have not been fantastic so far this season. It is worth noting. I'm going to just try to get some up for me to read out for you guys, but the problem with Martinelli right now is Jesus is back in the team, which is going to be added competition to that front line. Now, anyone that watched last season will know when Jesus was on the field, Martinelli became a better asset. So that's happy days. However, we know we got Trossard, we know we got Fabio Vieira, we know we got all these players that Arteta needs to pick from. And I do get a little bit worried that over the longer term, Martinelli's minutes are going to be less secure than the others that I've mentioned, like a Saka, like a Fernandes, like a Rashford. And for that reason, I think Martinelli is expendable going into game week 4. I'm not saying he's not a bad option, but I just think he is expendable in comparison to the other 3 that we have considered here. And just to read out some of the numbers here in regards to the players and their underlying stats, this is going to be based on per 90 minutes. So the numbers that basically Martinelli has put up is XG-wise, he has posted a 0.24 XG per 90 minutes, which is the worst of all of the assets that you can see on your screen here, and an expected assist of 0.05. So he really isn't offering much in the attacking department right now. And when you look at the others with penalties and Rashford's XG per 90 is 0.5, it's just so hard to justify putting Martinelli in your team ahead of the boys that you can see here. Now, one Arsenal player that I definitely would sell before Martinelli is Odegaard. Now, I know that's a little bit controversial. However, let me just read this out for you here. Now, I'm going to talk about non-pen XG right now because realistically, based on per 90 minutes, when we're talking about Martinelli, Odegaard, Havertz, these aren't the penalty takers in their respective teams. So I'm going to be looking at XG per 90 minutes, non-penalty. And Odegaard is the worst, is the absolute worst here because we have to remember the penalty scored in game week 2 is going to massively skew the underlying numbers that we're looking at. And if he isn't the penalty taker going forward, then we need to basically take that penalty out of the equation because he isn't going to take another penalty later on. So banish that penalty. XG per 90, non-penalty for Odegaard is 0.1. So that's worse than Martinelli's when we take that penalty out of the equation. And his expected assists, a lot of us know that Odegaard is the creative force in this team. 0.03. The numbers are awful. Now, Is Odegaard a good asset? He will be at some point, absolutely. But looking at these numbers, clearly something is not working in this Arsenal team. Maybe it's the fact he doesn't have Xhaka on the other side, kind of adding a balance to the team. But right now, with the formation and the system that Arteta is playing, it is not working for Odegaard. So I would sell him before Martinelli. And I'm not even going to discuss Havertz. If you have Havertz, you knew what you were getting into. He is an absolute sell going into game week 4. So let me know your thoughts in the comments there. But just to conclude, because for example, I'm in a situation where I own Saka, Fernandes, Rashford and Martinelli. The way that my little spreadsheet goes here is I would sell Martinelli first, followed by Rashford, followed by Bruno Fernandes, and lastly, I would sell Saka. So that is the way it is looking. And like I see, we've got a super chat in the chat as well. Thank you so much for Hugo Krog sending a super chat. But I don't think you've put a question in. Oh, thanks for the advice, bro. I appreciate it. I'm really loving your content up there with other FPL YouTubers. Really appreciate the comment, mate. Thank you so much. Right, let's get into some of the questions here. Hopefully that rounded off the subject of who do I sell this game week. We'll come back to it in a second, but I just want to rinse through some of the questions. So Jacob Granger saying, I've played my wildcard and my main differential was Antonio because he's playing Luton. Do not mind it at all. If you're wildcarding this week, I love the idea of going for maybe a hop-on, hop-off strategy of West Ham for 1 week and then moving away, because we need to remember later down the line, the fixtures get a little bit dodgy. Samuel saying, thoughts on the Arsenal Man United double up towards game week 4. Hopefully that is covered off for you here. Lars is saying, would you take a -4 for bringing in Madison for Martinelli? Already got Sterling and Foden. For a -4, I wouldn't personally. But we do need to remember Martinelli is up against Wan-Bissaka, and we all know how that story usually goes. Enrique saying, hey bro, I'm a big fan. Can you help pick striker and a midfield, please? Yeah, hopefully this stream will kind of give you a little bit of an idea on which direction to go for in your teams. Jack saying, sell Shaw or Gabriel. Realistically, probably prioritise selling Luke Shaw right now, just because he is the more expensive asset. It's going to give you more avenues to go for better options in your team. And Shekel saying, Salah going to cook Digne on that little left flank. Underrated pick this game week, in my opinion. Yeah, absolutely. Nobody's saying that Salah is a bad pick. I think it's just more of a case of nobody can get there right now, and there's no reason to go there because we haven't seen enough from Salah to suggest that he is offering value at, what is he, 12.5 million now? I don't even know what his price is. He's been that kind of redundant. Yo man, what's up? Came from your TikTok. Really appreciate it, buddy. Hope you're well. Is Darwin worth getting in, or is he still a rotation risk? For now, we avoid Darwin Núñez in my eyes. I do think he will absolutely be on the agenda at some point. Hopefully Jurgen Klopp woke up the day after and realised, what am I doing not playing this absolute chaos monster? Just put him on the pitch. He causes so many problems. Yes, he's raw. Yes, he might give away fouls. Yes, he might be offside, but he does so much more than somebody like a Gakpo will do in that number 9. I don't know about you guys, but I understand the tactical reasons why he's putting Gakpo in the side, but Liverpool are just a rock and roller team. They need crazy football, and Darwin ticks those boxes realistically. Do you think Archer is a risk this weekend? I'd expect Archer probably to come in straight into the team in Sheffield United. They're desperate for somebody right now. I think Archer probably would come in or at least get decent game time. Is Madison a good differential captain? I just wouldn't go away from Haaland personally myself. George is saying Onana and Matt Turner. Probably go for Onana myself. I think he will get some save points at least. And you always have to back the better defence realistically. Disagree on Odegaard 1. I think Martinelli will struggle versus Wan-Bissaka. Yeah, I agree. I think Wan-Bissaka is one of the best around in terms of 1v1s. Josh, FPL Goat, hope you're doing well, buddy. And Alex, hope you're doing well, mate. So I'm just covering off some more of the questions before we move to the next hot topics. I don't want to be ignoring you guys. And I do want to get an idea from you guys who you would sell first. Who would you sell first? And this is going to be who would you sell first from the players that you can see on your screen here for the likes of a Madison, a Foden and all. So let's just take Havertz out of the equation because realistically, I mean, who has Havertz? Come on now. And I just don't see a world where anyone is going to pick Saka as an option, but I might put him in there. I can't put more than 4, so I'm going to assume that Saka is just a no-brainer to keep. So I'm going to put here, who would you sell first? And out of the 4 that you can see on your screen here. It'll give us a good idea on what direction other people are thinking of. And again, guys, if you are enjoying the stream, please do consider dropping a like. We always aim for 50 likes. If you can help us get there, that would be absolutely sick. Thank you so much. Right, so Football Moments is saying, would you do João Pedro to Vissa and Martinelli to Sterling for a -4, as I don't have the funds to get rid of João Pedro without a -4? Okay, yeah, so you're in a sticky situation here. Brighton fixtures turn bad. Rotation risk for João Pedro. Martinelli, I think, is absolutely fine hold. Don't think you need to do the points hit there, but obviously you're doing it more for the João Pedro situation. If you view it long term, I do like the move. But I think with the -4 point hit, sometimes managers just look at it as a 1 game week sort of situation. For me, I think you need to look a little bit more longer term, and I think it will pay itself off long term for you. Does Arteta play Jesus on the left flank? No, I don't see that. I think he will only play down the centre. And I think the sooner he's back, the better for all of these assets. I don't know about you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But doesn't it just seem obvious for Arteta just to go back to the basics? Dump Kai Havertz. Is not working right now. Play Rice as a left 8 or as a double pivot alongside Partey. Odegaard right of a 3 or as a 10. Martinelli off the left. Saka off the right. Jesus down the middle. Simple, isn't it? Ben White on that right back, giving him the overlaps for Saka. I mean, should we all be managers? I don't really know. Like, that seems so simple, doesn't it? Thoughts on Son? Ignore Son for now. Now, if we see a situation where Richarlison continues to struggle in this Spurs team and Son plays down the middle, then we're in the money here. This could be then the go-to option at 9 million. It really will make it interesting if managers want to go there, but I haven't seen enough. I don't think anybody's seen enough to suggest that Son is an option when we've got all these amazing options available at such cheaper prices in the game. And Lars is saying, would you take a -4 for bringing in Madison for Martinelli? Already got Sterling for Foden. Now, the problem is, as I said, I don't like taking a -4 point hit for players when you are selling somebody who has such a high ceiling. Because even though Martinelli's numbers have been poor, as I said, so far this season, his XG per 90 is 0.24 and his expected assist is 0.05. He still has that ceiling that we know he can get to. So I wouldn't be rushing to sell him in for a -4. Captain Madison's differential covered that off. I would not, personally. Aaron, I saw your message. I see they've been deleted just because you've been duplicating them. Thank you so much for voting for me on the... Is it the Football Content Awards, FCAs? Yeah, if anybody is interested in it, I will drop a link in it later. But honestly, there's so many ridiculously good content creators out there. I think you probably should just go for them, boys, because they're going to get the majority of the votes out there. Zombie Dom said, hi, mate. Shall I sell Rashford and buy Sterling? Realistically, for me, if I was in a situation where I had Rashford and I was looking to buy Sterling, I don't know if it's controversial, but I would keep Rashford this week. I don't think Arsenal are sound defensively. I think Man United are going to cause problems for them. And although I really like Sterling, I think there's a question mark about Sterling. First and foremost, when does Pochettino go back to a back 4? Does that impact Sterling as an option? Was Luton just Luton and they're crap, and Sterling actually just had a good performance against what are the worst team in the league? So I wouldn't really be rushing to sell Rashford for Sterling personally, but I understand if you are considering it just because of the week that Sterling had. Right, while you guys are dropping the questions in, and make sure you are voting on the poll that I've put in the chat about who would you sell first, Odegaard, Martinelli, Rashford or Fernandes, and this will be to accommodate a player like a Madison, like a Sterling in your team. So next up, let's move into some of these big boys. So first up, James Madison. Now, I want to do a little bit of an isolated piece right now on him. I kind of regret putting Game Week 9 in because obviously between Game Week 8 and Game Week 9, we have the international break. And that might be a time where a lot of us use our wildcard over that period. So I'm going to kind of discount Game Week 9 for now, just because of the international break beforehand. But here's the underlying numbers for him in the opening 3 game weeks based on per 90 minutes. So XG per 90, 0.38 is really solid reading. Shots 2.85, but what I really do like here is the shots in the box at 2.49. I think we always associate Madison with being the guy that's in the middle third of the field, creating opportunities, the assister or the assist to the assister, but he's actually getting some decent shot numbers inside the box, and that's proven with his XG per 90 as well. So decent underlying numbers there, and quite surprising ones. The expected assist at 0.37 per 90, that's what we're always going to expect of him. If I said to you James Madison, you're probably going to scream assist. That is the big thing with James Madison, and the good numbers here. And look at the attempted assists, 3.2 per 90. He is the heart of everything good at Spurs. He is going to be one of those situations where if Spurs win, he is either going to be the hub of it, the assister, or the goal scorer. It's simple as that. We've already seen it enough. And those that watch Spurs are in a situation where you watch him and think, how is he in his debut season for Spurs? It looks like he's been there for years. So with Madison, what I'm trying to say is you're getting a 90-minute man on set pieces. Everything good that Spurs do is going to go through this man. It's just whether the fixtures are good enough in your eyes. Now, Burnley away, followed by Sheffield United at home. I don't think they come much better. I think they are unbelievable fixtures for Spurs and Madison in general. Then we get into game week 6 and 7, which I understand on paper doesn't look attractive. But again, this is an Arsenal team that really aren't putting up solid defensive numbers. And a Liverpool team that may have Canati out injured. They will have Van Dijk back by then from the red card situation. But I wouldn't fear Liverpool, especially at White Hart Lane. And then you finish off with Luton away. That's almost like your reward for going through the game week 6 and 7 fixtures. Now, what are the negatives for Madison? I would argue the ceiling isn't as high as some of the other assets out there, like a Sterling or like a Phil Foden. If I said to you right now that an asset is going to get a brace and a goal, a brace and an assist, you probably wouldn't say James Madison first and foremost if I said Foden and Sterling with the other two options out there. So I think Madison's one of those that over the next 5 game weeks, I would not be surprised if he is the highest point scoring midfielder in the game out of the 3 that we're considering. But I will say this, do I see him getting massive double-digit returns each and every week? Probably not. And that's where the only downside for Madison is for me is, has he got that ceiling, that huge explosive ceiling that we always want from an FPL option? Now, talking about explosive assets, the highest point scorer in game week, I need to turn my phone off a minute, in game week 3 was Raheem Sterling. And this is the example of a player that I do think has that real high ceiling when we are targeting FPL options. Now, look at his underlying numbers. Expected goals per 90 at 0.38 is the exact same as Madison. But this is where it gets really surprising. The shots in the box are worse than Madison's. Shots in general are worse. The expected assists are worse. The attempted assists are worse. It's quite interesting because, as I discussed with Raheem Sterling, he's currently playing as a second forward alongside Nicholas Jackson in the system that Pochettino is playing right now with a 3-5-2. Operating a little bit more off the right and coming in field. We saw that from that Luton goal that he did score. So I think naturally we'd be expecting his numbers to be far greater than that of James Madison's, but it isn't the case right now, even though Sterling got that monster haul in game week 3. Now, as I discussed, I believe he does have the ceiling to go off in any game week potentially. So I really, really do like Sterling as an option. My only question is, and as I said about this, is Pochettino going to change the system, and is that going to hinder Sterling as an option? I think right now we're looking at Sterling playing alongside Nicholas Jackson, fantastic. But could we get into next week and we see him play a back 4, Caicedo and Enzo in a double pivot, Gallagher in front of him, Sterling off the right, Mudryk off the left, and Nicholas Jackson down the middle? That absolutely could happen. Now, does that make Sterling a worse asset? We don't know yet. We absolutely don't know. But I wouldn't get completely comfortable with the idea of Sterling playing down the middle week in, week out. I wouldn't necessarily read too much into that until we actually get an idea of when Pochettino gets all his players available, what system he prefers. In terms of the fixtures, I would argue they are better than that of Madison. So the fixtures do lean towards Sterling being that option. The game week 4 fixture is ridiculous at home against Nottingham Forest. We could easily see another double-digit return from him in that game. But again, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll be really interested to know what your thoughts are on the whole Sterling-Madison debate right now. So I'm going to show you Phil Foden, and then I'm going to give you a little bit of a ranking on which one I prefer right now. So last up is Phil Foden. So in terms of Phil Foden as an asset, he hasn't scored yet. That's why it is 0 goals per 90 minutes. Now, the expected goals per 90 is better than that of both Sterling and Madison at 0.41. But we need to remember Foden has played less minutes than both of the other assets. So it's a lot smaller sample size because we know 3 game weeks is small enough as it is. Now, the shots per 90 are greater than that of Madison and Sterling's, but the shots in the box are less at 1.95. But what I love to see is this. The expected assists at 0.45 and the attempted assists at 4.86. These are ridiculous numbers, and we need to remember the positions that Phil Foden are taking up is basically as almost a number 10 alongside Alvarez behind Haaland. So when you've got Haaland in the team, someone like a Phil Foden is never going to be the main goal scorer in the side because everything funnels through Haaland. He's always looking to stretch the team, be on the shoulder of the last man. So Foden needs to be that creative force in the team. With the absence of KDB, the sale of Mahrez, Foden, I think, is going to step up as that creative force in the team. I don't think anyone else can do what he does on the ball, threading balls between the lines for someone like a Haaland. And we can see that with the creative numbers that he has put up. So I think the attention right now is all about Sterling and Madison because they got the points in game week 3 and Foden was ill. But realistically, is the answer just Phil Foden? The fixtures are unbelievable. Fulham at home, West Ham away, Nottingham Forest at home, Wolves away, and then Arsenal away in game week 8 before the international break. Now, I know there is rotation risk with Phil Foden. We saw it, but he was ill. Let's just give him a bit of credit there. Champions League will be in the horizon. Could Pep potentially rotate it? Yes, because we know Spurs and Chelsea don't have European football, so they're just going to be focusing on the week in hand that they have coming up. So that's my only downside with Phil Foden, because if you said to me that Foden was going to play the exact same minutes as Sterling and Madison, I'm buying Foden, end of. I am buying Phil Foden. The numbers are better, the fixtures are better, and the team in general is better. It is just coming down to, can you stomach Pep roulette? My big question is, with the formation they're playing, the 2 10s behind Haaland, who else can really play there over a long-term period? I just think this screams for Phil Foden to play, and the more I talk about it, the more I think maybe my ranking's changing on who I want to go for in my team. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. I'll be really interested to know who you prefer out of Foden, Madison, and Sterling. If I had to rank them right now, I'm controversially going to put Sterling third. Controversially. I just don't know if you got Nicholas Jackson. You want the double up with Raheem Sterling as well. I'm still not sold on the Chelsea attack completely. I think there's still issues in the way that they do progress the board, attack, and yeah, I think Foden's second and Madison's first. Let me know your thoughts. I want to get a poll out here. That's how I'm feeling. I'm feeling Sterling third, Foden second best, and Madison first, just because he's on all set pieces. Sheko say, oh, hell no. Who... Just dropping it in here. I need to know this. Madison? Foden? I mean, when you look at the numbers, Foden's a joke. Foden's a joke. Declan, please answer my questions above. Declan. 2 questions. Who do I bench between Henry, Rashford, and Estupinan? Estupinan, definitely. And who do I replace Martinelli with, Sterling or Madison? I've got Alvarez, if Foden isn't required. Not got Jackson, however. If that's the case, I'll go Sterling. This is the caveat here. There's so many different components. If you have no Chelsea attacking influence, you go for Sterling because it's just the route to points in that Chelsea team. That's the one thing I will say. If Chelsea are going to score goals, it's going to come from either Sterling, Nicholas Jackson, or someone like a Ben Chilwell. When we look at the Spurs team, you would argue there are different avenues to points in there, and the same would apply to Man City as well. So if you don't have Nicholas Jackson, Raheem Sterling is your man. Rashid saying, do I sell Odegaard for Madison? I would personally, yes. If you are really in on Madison, I would sell Odegaard, absolutely. Just I haven't seen enough from his numbers to suggest that he is going to be an option going forward. Is Watkins a keep? Absolutely. I think Watkins is absolutely a perfectly fine keep. You do not need to sell him desperately. He's a great placeholder if you want to get Gabriel Jesus later down the line as well, which I really like the idea of Watkins being in that team. Will Alvarez start most games? I really don't know, but he's playing well, and he's playing well in that number 10 behind Haaland. My one worry with Alvarez is he's a forward on the game and he's playing as a midfielder effectively. That's actually like the negative of out of position OOP in FPL. Garlic mayo barbecue sauce. Whew. Now, it depends what situation we're in, because if we're out and about with mates, you can't be having that garlic breath. So it's probably going to have to be barbecue sauce. If it was mayonnaise, different story. Sorry, guys, this cough is horrendous. JWP from Matoma. I do not mind JWP at all. We're going to come on to him in a minute. Enrique, don't be throwing stuff like that. Is Sterling injured? Can't be right. Where are you hearing that? Give me a second. So I know Chelsea are playing tonight, so we need to see what the actual lineup is. If anyone that hasn't kept up to date with the Chelsea lineup, I'm going to read that out for you right now. Okay, so just so you know, because Chelsea are playing tonight, so do not be rushing any transfers. We got Sanchez in goal, Disasi, Colwell and Humphries in a back three. Madison, Ugo Chukwu, Gallagher and Cucurella in a midfield four, with Madueke Moreira, I can never pronounce it, Diego Moreira, something like that. And then Burstow up top. On the bench, we have got significant names: Thiago Silva, Chilwell, Gusto, Enzo, Caicedo, Jackson, no Lavia, which is quite interesting. Okay, that is the lineup for Chelsea tonight, just so you know. Do I sell March for Bruno for a -4? -4? No, I wouldn't do it for a -4. Unless you were looking at it as a real long-term option, then yes, I could consider it. And again, guys, if you haven't dropped a like on the stream, what are you playing at? Come on now. Right, we're going to fly through some more slides here. So I had a comparison up here that I done about Madison or Sterling. It's a bit more like, for those that like a side-by-side, you can see Madison does lead the way for most things. And what I will say as well, what I love about Madison is this: if he plays crap and Spurs play crap, he still has indirect free kicks, direct free kicks, and corners. That is huge. If Sterling has a crap game, if Chelsea play bad, points are basically going to dry up. Madison could do nothing, whip at a corner in the last minute. The old head of Romero slams it in, assist, and maybe a bonus point. That's what I love about FPL options like that. When they have different avenues to points, I think that's really, really big. And you can see as well, a lot of people saying Madison isn't really an attacking threat in this Spurs team, but numbers are looking good. And we can only go off the game weeks that we've had so far. So I think right now, Madison is ticking a lot of boxes for me as we speak. Okay, we've covered that off. We've covered all the good stuff. Sorry, guys. I'm just making sure we have rattled through everything. I see there's a lot of questions I'm going to get to. Do not worry. Bowen for captain. Look, if you own him, you want to go big, do it. But let me just tell you this. Let me tell you a story. Let's cast our minds back. Story time. Last season, I had a fantastic start. I was loving my life. Things were going great. Rank was maybe around 50k, which is brilliant in the opening few game weeks. I was mowing the lawn one day and I found out the deadline was coming up, and I saw Man City were playing against Man United. And I looked at it and thought, Mo Salah has a great fixture. What an opportunity for me to swing against Haaland. So lo and behold, I was simply just doing the lawn, thinking nothing about it. I go on my phone, happily captaining Mo Salah and going against Haaland, and I see, now what was that day? Was it a brace and 3 assists for Haaland, or a hat-trick and 2 assists? My rank decimated, absolutely plummeted because of me swinging against Erling Haaland. I have PTSD from that moment. I cannot sit here and tell you to go against Erling Haaland in a home fixture against Fulham. It is just so brave to do so. Now, is that because I've been scarred by it? Most likely. And you could probably tell in the way that I told that story that it's quite a traumatic experience for me. But you've got to be a brave person to go against Haaland. And for me, it isn't a route I'll go for. Owning Bowen enough is a differential in itself. What is his ownership right now? 7.3%. You don't need to captain him. Simply have him as a player in your team and you'll be fine. You don't need to captain him on top of that as well. Is Antonio a good pick for game week 4? No. I would avoid Antonio. It is just going to be stuck. Josh, sell Watkins for Jackson. I actually would probably hold Watkins right now. I know they have a quote-unquote tricky fixture this weekend, but realistically, no Van Dijk, no Kanate. Villa looking good offensively. I think they could definitely cause some damage against Liverpool. So for me, I would not be selling Watkins right now, even though the temptation for Nicholas Jackson is there. Okay, HM Football's asking about which one, JWP or Bowen. So let's get onto this slide here because I think it is relevant to all the questions I'm seeing in the chat right now. So I've got a little bit of a differential midfielder slide here. We've got the 4.5 million asset in Sarr, Diaby, Ward-Prowse and Jared Bowen. So we've got the underlying numbers. I apologise if it's not as clear on your screens. I will try and rattle through a little bit of the main understandings here. So XG per 90, Ward-Prowse at 0.62 and Bowen at 0.56. Now I need to just double check that is the most recent figures. Give me 2 seconds. Because I would have had a howler if I have messed this up. No, these are the new figures. Fine, perfect. So Ward-Prowse leading the way for XG per 90 at 0.62 compared to Bowen, but the expected assists slightly in Bowen's favour. Now, what we're seeing right now in the situation of Ward-Prowse is he's everywhere on the field, and that's what we come to expect. With Alvarez and Souček alongside him, we might see a different formation, obviously, later down the line with Kudos coming into the team. But right now, Ward-Prowse is everywhere. He's not having to play as a double pivot. He has the licence to get forward in certain phases of the attack. But it's worth noting, obviously, West Ham played a bit more counter-attacking football. He has to pick and choose his moments to actually get forward. It isn't just a constant onslaught of him going into the box. And also Ward-Prowse being on set pieces, corners, direct free kicks, indirect free kicks. As I said about Madison, it's another string to his bow that if West Ham play terrible, he still has all those meatheads that he can put the ball on, which is always a great benefit from an FPL perspective for points. Now, if I had to pick one right now, if you have the cash available, I think the answer here is going to be Bowen. He is average position-wise way further up than Ward-Prowse. He's getting plenty more touches in the actual penalty box area, which is what we want from an FPL option. And I think we know what we're getting with Bowen. Now, of course, once Kudos comes into the team, will that hinder Bowen? We don't know right now. I think Kudos probably plays more of a creative number 10 in this system. Maybe when Paqueta's ban comes in for the betting situation. So that might definitely be a thing. But for me, I definitely think going for Bowen is the choice over Ward-Prowse. And the main reason being as well is I think if you go for Ward-Prowse, he's one of those assets, and we saw it at Southampton, where we don't know where the haul's going to come. Because of the way that he accumulates points either from set pieces or long-range worlders, he can kind of do that against any team. So if you own him, I feel like you'd almost have to play him in every single fixture, even though you wouldn't want to. Whereas with Bowen, he is a bit more of an exciting asset, and you'd feel more comfortable playing him in their fixtures. Now, the reason why I'm against buying any West Ham asset, unless it really is a one-week punt, is the fixtures. Now, you can see them just here. Luton away is a fantastic fixture, but what I will say is, first game at home for Luton in the Premier League. It's going to be a tough place. The place is going to be rocking. I'm not expecting a huge win for West Ham, if any. Then they got Man City and Liverpool. Tricky fixtures. And also in game week 8 at home against Newcastle. So I know the temptation's there for Luton away. If you're on a hop-on, hop-off strategy, then I would go for Jared Bowen. But realistically, Ward-Prowse for me isn't an option. Because he's a long-term hold. And because of the fixtures, he can't be a long-term hold with some of these games, holy moly, that they do have. So for me, I'd avoid West Ham, even though game week 4 looks so tempting to invest in their assets. Doku and Nunes also to come in. Yes, really good point. Sorry, that's about Man City. Doku and Nunes coming into the Man City team will be very interesting and could be an impact on Foden. It is worth noting. And HM Football, hopefully that's answered your question about Bowen or Ward-Prowse. I would prefer Bowen if you have the money. Would you start Colwell or a Stupinan? Tom, I would start Colwell personally. Shekel saying that people will be sleeping on Eze. Yes, I agree. I think Eze with the fixture run coming up is definitely a consideration for our teams. there's just more temptation with the 7 million midfielders right now that we want to go towards. I think Eze will fly under the radar. The talisman of the Crystal Palace team, his numbers have been good. I think he definitely could do well. And if you have him, you definitely keep him. Watkins or Jackson, if I was buying right now, you can see the Aston Villa fixtures here. Away against Liverpool, which I would not be put off at all with the Van Dijk red card and Kanati injury. Crystal Palace at home, good fixture, but Palace are good defensively. Chelsea away, I don't think that's bad. Brighton with their clean sheet record right now, not good. Wolves away, West Ham. The combination I would like right now actually would be Sterling and Watkins and sacrifice Nicholas Jackson. That would be the route that I would prefer to go for personally. Guys, you can see we have over 100 in the chat. We're still only at 40 likes. Can we get 50 likes in the next few minutes? That would be sensational if you guys could do that. Thank you so much. Marek saying, what is better, Eze for this game week than I buy the second of the others? Plus Madison, plus Madison Sterling, or Madison plus Sterling right now. If you have Eze, I don't mind you keeping him at all right now this week. Just remind ourselves, this game week, Eze is at home against Wolves. Great fixture. I think Eze is a brilliant differential if you want to keep him this week. Start Estupinan or Matoma. I would always back Matoma personally. I think he could get some joy against them. And thank you so much, guys, for 50 likes on the stream. Much appreciated as always. Yeah, I think Estupinan is going to concede in that game, so I'd rather go for Matoma. Right. We got some stuff to get through here. So, budget defenders. Budget defenders. We're going to cover off this quickly. Just my thoughts on some of the three popular ones. I'm not saying these are necessarily the best, because I think Rico Henry is a great pickup. I think Botman is a great pickup if we get confirmation that he's fit. There's loads of good ones out there, but I just want to cover these ones off because they're quite a popular chat in the community right now. So if I had to rank these budget defenders right now, I'd have Matty Cash third. A little bit controversial, but the good things. Stats are great. Underlying stats are great for him. He's bombing forward, looking a real threat. And of course, he's the highest scoring defender in the game week just gone. So there's naturally going to be a temptation to bring him into your teams. The problem is, I would argue defensively, the fixtures aren't great. So I wouldn't be necessarily expecting loads of clean sheets from Aston Villa and Matty Cash. And could we see a rotation risk in the tougher games? Now, this might be a bit controversial, but I do see a world where maybe Digne plays at left back and Konsa plays at right back to give them a little bit of stability, because we know Unai Emery does like playing the back four with one of the fullbacks bombing forward and the other one inverting into a back three. Now, in the previous game just gone, we saw a back three from Unai Emery, which was a bit of a surprise, with Digne and Cash playing as fullbacks. If that remains, wingbacks. If that remains, happy days. I think we go in on Aston Villa assets, but I'm not too confident that's going to be long-term, that formation. And because of that, I wouldn't be jumping in right now on Aston Villa defenders, even though I know a lot of you are. Now, number two, I've got Malo Gusto. Great long-term fixtures, cheaper assets, so you can put more money in the bank. And this is the assumption maybe you're coming down from a Gabriel, for example, at Arsenal. And also, right now, playing at right wing-back, it looks like they're doing the same formation against Wimbledon today in tonight's game. So, could be promising for Pochettino and the way he wants to set up the team. And if Gusto does play as a right wing-back, it's so hard to ignore him at only 4.1 million. But a few caveats here. First and foremost, it sounds like Reece James is going to be back in the squad for game week 5. Now, because of his history, injury records, and Malo Gusto looking good, I don't see any reason why they need to rush him back into the team. So I think Gusto still has maybe a few more game weeks left of definitely starting, but later down the line, he will be an option. He has the worst attacking stats of all these three on your screens as well. And he done his business against Luton. So I don't know how much to read into that right now. And the Chelsea double defence, is that the route you want to go for? I know a lot of people have Chilwell. Going for Gusto basically means you're doubling down, and it blocks you from maybe going for the Sterling-Jackson combination. So you just need to understand if that is definitely the route you want to go for, having a double Chelsea defence. For some people, it might not be the right temptation. But number one is going to be Spurs'. Now, is it your doggy? Let me know in the comments. I don't know how you're going to let me know by typing it, but I think he's got guaranteed game time. Now, Ben Davis might play a couple of minutes here and there, but I think Udoji's been too damn good to be out of this team right now. The underlying stats are really good for him. He's making them fantastic underlying runs, underlapping runs. What Postecoglou likes to do is keep his wingers really, really wide. And what we're seeing these fullbacks do is actually make these underlapping runs and really makes them even better options than some of the wingers in the actual system. And the long-term fixtures of Spurs are good. If you have a real good rotation in your defenders, you can simply bench them in game week 6 and 7 when you have their tricky games against Arsenal and Liverpool, and bring him back in for their great fixture away against Luton in game week 8. So I really like Udogie. There's some good rotations out there for you to go down. And then the negative. He did come off late with an injury, but we think he only stubbed his toe, so I think he will be fit for the weekend. But if you're looking to buy him, I would definitely wait until the press conferences to get a little bit more information on whether he is going to be out for the weekend or it was simply one of those. We've all done it. You stub that toe, and it is like the worst pain you've ever experienced. So Udogie for me is the top pick right now. Now, as I said, I haven't included Botman. I haven't included Rico Henry. I think they are great options as well. And I probably would say Rico Henry is right up there as one of the safest picks that you could go for because of the fixtures are so great for Brentford. But I like these boys on your screen as well. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm going to rattle through some of these questions as I see I have missed a lot. Saffron saying, who's better between Jackson and Sterling? Right now, I think it's Sterling. There's less forwards to pick from, so I understand the logic of maybe just covering off your second forward as Jackson. But I think Sterling's probably the more explosive asset, and I think his game time's definitely secure. Armando Broja isn't in the squad for tonight's game, which I'm quite surprised at. He's returned to full training, and I kind of had this fixture against Wimbledon as the game for him to come in and maybe get a few minutes off the bench. The fact that he isn't, and we're just double checking, on the bench means that he's still a little bit away. This feels like a great game to put him on, and he isn't in the squad. So I think we've got loads of games still left of Nicholas Jackson in terms of 90-minute games. Rashford or Bruno, for those that are new to the chat right now, this is how I am ranking the situation with Arsenal and Man United midfielders. I hope this makes sense. It basically means that Saka is my number one pick. And basically the order is, I would have Saka as my number one pick, then Fernandes, then Rashford, then Martinelli, then Odegaard, then Havertz. So you kind of want to work your way from Havertz. He is my number one pick to sell, followed by Odegaard, followed by Martinelli. So in my instance right now, I'm going into game week 4 as a Saka and Martinelli owner and a Rashford and Bruno Fernandes owner. So based on this logic, I would sell Martinelli because the other three are above him in my eyes. If you want to get a bit of a detail on why I've gone for this order, go to the start of the live stream where I've gone into detail on it. But for me, Martinelli is the sacrificial lamb going into game week 4. I understand that he could hit the ground running. We know he's a great option. But end of the day, in fantasy football, you're never selling bad assets unless they get injured. The reason why you picked him is because they're good. And you simply can't own them all. And you have to take your medicine sometimes. And selling Martinelli, of course, is a risk. But could it be a minute's risk? Absolutely. Could you buy someone better? Absolutely. So you got to take them risks. And I'm willing to sell Madison going into game week 4, knowing that I have, in my eyes, the best option in Saka and 2 better options in Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford. But again, might be a hot take. Let me know your thoughts in the questions, in the comments. In the comments. Just trying to rattle through some of the bits here. Captain Mbeumo over Haaland. Nope. Haaland is the man this game week. I know he hasn't been scoring hat-tricks galore, but he is the one. Alex House saying Tonali or Gordon worth having at 5.5 million. If I'm going to go one, it has to be Gordon. I wouldn't even consider Tonali personally. I'd probably rather go Enzo Fernandez than Tonali around that price bracket. So if you have to have one, Gordon, but just know that rotation is obviously a risk there. Martinelli to Mbeumo or Madison, I would go Madison personally. I would go Madison now at this specific time. Villa True Fan, it wasn't a back 5, Nacho. It was 4-4-2 with Cash playing right wing and Konsa right back. Cash was playing in Bailey's position. Right, so this is why the live streams are the best format by far, because I am chatting absolute rubbish right now, telling you guys that they played a back 3 and we have someone whose name is Villa True Fan, and I'm going to back the account here because they clearly know what they're talking about. So I will take a look at the touch sheet maps as well to see what it looked like. I might do a tweet on that, so make sure you're following FPL Nacho to get a bit of an idea. But thank you for the information there. So look, if Matty Cash is playing in that advanced position week in, week out, then he jumps from number 3 straight up to number 1 in terms of my defenders. So very interesting to know that. And thank you for the information there in the chat. Sheko saying, how does Reece James get back into the team if Gusto puts these performances? Yeah, I agree, but I've been watching Chelsea and I'm still not completely sold on Malo Gusto. I'll tell you what it is sometimes. It's like, it's little things. When Reece James went off injured, Malo Gusto came on. And it's just them little bits where you realise Reece James is so good. So I remember Gusto went into a 50-50, went into a little shoulder-to-shoulder and got floored by somebody. I think it was someone on the Liverpool team. And I watched it and thought, have I ever seen Reece James get bounced ever in my life? And the answer is no. The bloke's made of titanium. So this is the thing right now. It's them little things there where it's just like, I watched Gusto do it and I was like, oh, like, you're still learning the league. Like, you're still not there yet. And I don't want to get ahead of myself knowing that they just play Luton at home, who are, no offence, Luton fans, I'm so sorry if there's anyone listening, but a championship team, really. So I'm not getting ahead of myself right now. I think Gusto is a fantastic talent, but he's only 20. And Reece James is here. He's a top bracket player. It's just, we need to remember, and also, sorry, I'm like, this is like ADHD kicking in here, but what I'm saying is, he's the captain, Reece James. We need to remember that now. So you're not benching your captain. Once he's fit and raring to go, he's back in. He is back in. Is Watkins still viable? Absolutely. If you have Watkins, I'll just keep him, to be honest with you. Sakaria is saying, take a -4 for Madison and either Foden or Udogie this week. It depends who you're selling, mate. You might have to let me know in the chat who you're selling there. When would be appropriate to sell in Buemo? One of those, really, where we can just sit on him. The fixtures coming up for Brentford are decent. Look, fixtures for Brentford are Bournemouth at home, Newcastle away, but then Everton at home, Forest away, Man United away. So I would definitely give him game week 4, 100%. Most likely the next 3 game weeks. Then we can reassess after that. Tom Warner saying, you have to be the best FPL content creator this season, Tom. I don't know about that. If you're tuning into this live stream right now, you'll realise that I'm quite scatty with my thoughts all over the shop. So I struggle to kind of narrow down my thoughts into a focused video, but hopefully it's entertainment nonetheless. And also there's so many other fantastic accounts. Honestly, like, it's a joke how many good accounts are out there. Thoughts of bringing in Bowen and making him capped. I told the story about me having PTSD from going against Haaland last season. So you do you. If you want to go against Erling Haaland at home, then do it. But I'm just going to warn you, the worst day of my life last year was when I went against Haaland. I'm just saying. And a lot of bad things happened last year, but I went against Haaland and it burnt me when he went off against Man United. So that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Do I do team reviews? So I'll tell you what, I've done a lot in pre-season and that took up a lot of my time. I do. However, if you DM me on Instagram and I can see it, I will do it, but I have a lot over there and I can't get to all of them. What I'll say is this. For those that are interested in like kind of one-to-one chat, I do have a Patreon. Link is in the bio. If you're interested in that sort of stuff, we have like 60 of us in there. And basically, I do Q&As like pretty much every other night. We talk for anything. But the good thing about it is literally you can just DM me any questions you have at any point. I like sleep like 5 hours, so I'm up most of the time kind of like answering questions. So if you're looking for more like one-to-one and anyone's interested in that sort of stuff, check it out. Link is in the bio. But again, it's very niche, very specific to a certain way you want to play the game. So I wouldn't be like rushing you guys to go to that section. And Villa True Fan said he played a bit of pre-season, but that was the first time doing it in the leagues herself. Thank you for the information, buddy. Milo, love you and your streams. Thank you so much, mate. Would you start? I've covered that one. I'm actually catching up with the chat now. We're on fire, guys. Should I keep Enzo or Eze for a hit? Should I keep Enzo or Eze? I'll just keep both of them right now. Fixtures are good. Is Kudos and Beto good picks? No. My general rule of thumb, unless it's someone like a Haaland new to the league, you simply give your few game weeks an opportunity for it's an opportunity for you just to monitor how they get on in the league. I think Kudos will slowly take time to adapt into the league, and then once we get into a position where he's a regular starter, then it's on. Just typing this in. Guys, I want to throw in a poll out before we end this, because I am going to wrap this up soon, because I haven't had any tea, and I'm absolutely Hank Marvin. So let me get another poll up. I'll tell you what, you guys let me know what poll you want. 30 seconds. 30 seconds, guys. Let me know in the chat right now what you would like me to put a poll on, because while we have over 100 of us in here, it's a great opportunity to get a bit of a general consensus on what people are feeling right now in terms of a direction. So let me know right now what you'd want me to put in the poll, and I'll put it in ASAP Rocky. You've got 30 seconds. And while we're doing that, legends, I have a thing for you. If you're mad enough to even consider voting me for these football content awards, because what I will say is I've just put the link in the chat here. Now, what I'm going to say is this. There are some unbelievable content creators out there. So please do not think that I am worth voting for. But if you do want to vote for me in this, I've put the link in there, brings you to this page, and you simply want to go down to Best in Fantasy Football. Now, who are we kidding? Best in Fantasy Football. But you might be fancying a nice little sympathy vote. And if that is the case, then you want to come to this section here and just type out FPL fan and simply come down to the bottom and click vote now. Now, like I said, guys, there's so many good ones out there, but if you are interested, then be my guest and vote. Obviously, I'll be massively appreciative of it, but end of the day, it's a bit of like a popularity thing, isn't it? And it feels like you're back at school, to be honest, really, doesn't it? So look, let's get some more. I'm gonna get this poll up based on what people are saying. So Immortal Technique. We can't be putting Star Trek versus Star Wars in the thing. It's outrageous. Best City Defender. Seeing that a lot. Best City Defender. Oh my goodness. Wimbledon had just scored against Chelsea. What is going on? But I'm a Chelsea fan, so this is woeful. Okay, I see a lot of Chelsea. I see a lot of City defender chatting here. So let's put this in a minute, and I'll give my little like two pence cents, whatever they call it. Sorry if I'm coughing into the mic. Who's the other defenders? Right, guys, this is gonna be a quick poll. This is gonna be like a 30-second poll. Get in there right now. Let me know who you think the best City defender is. If you were to buy right now, Gavardiol, Walker, Diaz, or a Kanji, money no object. But if I've missed anyone, let me know in the chat, because in the spur of the moment, I probably have missed someone obvious there. So while you guys are putting that in, Liam, thank you, legend, for voting. Much appreciate it. Zombie Death for voting for you. Thank you, mate. Animations, thank you very much. What else is there? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Much appreciated, guys. Harrison, thank you. Right. What we need to do now is I need to show my team. I need to show my team, because I'm going to go for over an hour. This always happens. Tom, Ake, for me, the introduction of Gavardiol means that he isn't an option for me personally. I just think he's too much of a risk. So 42% of Diaz. Right, let's get my team up on screen, because I'm going to be here forever otherwise. So This is how my team is looking right now at the time of recording. Now, bit of a spoiler alert. This is what you can expect. No, I'm gonna tell you. I'll tell you guys in a minute what we expect for the rest of the week. So, de free transfer. That's 2 free transfers in French. This is how we're looking. Pickford in goal. I absolutely despise seeing Pickford, but it is what it is. Stupanani, Dogi, Chilwell, midfield 5, Jackson, Haaland. 2 major issues in this team. Gabriel, because he's been benched every week, and Martinelli, as I discussed. Now, I've hyped up about Madison. At the time of recording, Martinelli to Madison is the likely route that I'm considering because I have 2 free transfers, 1.4 million in the bank. I have so many different directions that I can go in. So that feels like the obvious move. I've discussed about why I want to sell Martinelli. I don't really need to go into that too much. Now, the other option I need to consider is, do I just keep letting Gabriel fall in price? Just continue, because looking at it right now in the price changes, just for those that are on Gabriel right now, it looks like Gabriel is going to fall in price. Just looking for him right now. Where is he? Hang on. Sorry, I'm just checking to see, like, for example, if you held Gabriel, when you're next at risk of his price going down, because it's almost like he's fallen enough now to just say to yourself, oh, just stuff it, I'll keep him. Look, he ain't falling anytime soon, and he might not even fall until potentially game week 5 later down the line, so you could hold him. But for me, while I have 2 free transfers, I just think it makes complete sense to get rid of him. So, Samir, hope you're doing well. So for me, I think right now I am massively up for debate for the defender. While I'm pretty sure I'm going to do Martinelli to Madison, the defender that I bring in could honestly be anybody. It could be Rico Henry. It could be Matty Cash. It could be... who else do we have in the equation? Not Malagusto. I'm not on the Malagusto train at all. So any of those options could be considered. Botman could be an option. Trippier could be an option. Man City defender. So that's the real deliberation I have right now. Is spoiler alert, kind of the setup for the content this week is that I'll be doing a wildcard team tomorrow, which will be coming out tomorrow morning. Kind of giving you guys an idea of the draft that I would do if I was to wildcard. Friday morning, 8 a.m. sharp, will be my team reveal. And then I'll be doing a deadline live at 4:30 p.m. UK time on the Friday, where if there were any changes to the morning video, I will update you in that live stream. So again, if you aren't following, subscribe to the account. Make sure you are, as there's still like 3 or 4 videos coming out in the next 2 days. So there's a lot to come. So you don't want to miss out on that. So right now, if I had to put my transfers in and confirm them, it would probably be Martinelli to Madison and Gabriel to Rico Henry most likely. But again, that one's a little bit up for debate in terms of the defender move. And as some have said, Botman is injured, which is a bit of an issue and why I wouldn't buy him. So I need to think through the defenders. So I think there are a lot of options out there. So guys, we've been going for about an hour and a bit now. And unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to wrap it up here. I got to go eat. And I got to film later for the video tomorrow, prep stuff. So I'm going to say this. Thank you so much for tuning into this live stream. It was a little bit of a spontaneous one because I couldn't do a video today, but I love getting to know you guys more in the chat because this is by far the best way to actually create depth with the channel. Yes, it's good to have a big following, but to be honest with you, I'm more about actually having depth with the people that watch the videos. I know there's a lot of big content creators out there. You ask questions in the chat and you probably don't get them answered from time to time. I'm really hoping to make sure this is a place where, and I probably am being a little bit, against what I'm saying, because I probably have missed a few questions in the chat, but I'd like to think that I've been able to cover a lot of stuff that you guys have been asking. Like, for example, Michael saying, do you think double Chelsea attack is overkill? And Michael, my answer to you, mate, is no, I don't think it's overkill. For my team right now, I think I'd rather have Nicolas Jackson and Madison rather than the double up. I would rather cover myself and go for a Chelsea attacker and a Spurs attacker rather than having double Chelsea, no Spurs. See, perfect example there, guys, of answering the question. But look, as I said, we are going to have to wrap it up here, guys. Thank you so much for tuning into this stream. Massively, massively appreciate you guys, as always. The support on the videos has been insane. Again, If you aren't subscribed, I think it's like 80% that watch the videos aren't, and you have enjoyed this stream and other videos, please do consider hitting that subscribe button. And if you have any mates who are woeful at FPL, make sure you fire them my way, and I will try and help them out in their mini league. So guys, that just leaves to say, thanks so much for tuning in. As I said, video dropping tomorrow morning, which will be a game week 4 wildcard team. So make sure you stick around for that. I want to see you guys in the comments of that video. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.